White sports supporters, well, this league and these players literally cannot get out of their own way. I read this and was like, you gotta be kidding me.
That's a commentator who covers this league every single day, and one report just short-circuited him on camera. Hold on to that reaction, because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why he sounds like that, and honestly, why the frustration might be earned.
Most viral moment of the year that did not include Caitlin Clark getting a fist to her throat was the point by Sophie Cunningham that literally exploded across social media and everywhere else.
One finger, one stare, not a single word spoken, and it still became the most shareable image this league produced. All season. Remember that scale, because everything that follows only makes sense once you accept this. Wasn't just a highlight, it was a brand being born in real time. So what do you do when your sport accidentally creates its own logo? Apparently, not what any sane business would.
I'm about to hurt a lot of feelings. Sophie Cunningham is the #2 biggest star in this league. She's above Asia, she's above Angel. I don't give a shit about the play on the court. That may hurt your feelings. Let your feelings be hurt. Sophie Cunningham, literally, from a publicity standpoint, from a reach standpoint, she's slaying everybody that's not named Caitlin Clark.
#2 star in the entire league over former MVPs, over Olympic gold medalists. That's a grenade of a claim. And on pure basketball, it's easy to laugh off. But he's not talking about basketball. He's talking about reach. And there the numbers stop being funny. Cunningham's following reportedly multiplied across every platform last season. Her jersey sold out within hours after that famous Connecticut brawl, and clips of her turned into millions of views on accounts that had never once posted women's basketball. You can hate the take and still not be able to kill it. Now, hold on to one thing as we go, because later in this video there is an actual rejection memo, real paperwork sent to a real company. And inside it sits one specific word that flips this whole story from a petty sports squabble into something genuinely self-destructive. When we get to that word, you'll understand why people in the business world did a double take. First, you need to know who broke this, because the source is the whole ball game.
I saw this and was like, wow. Darren Rovell. Now, guys, in case you don't know who Darren Rovell is, he is one of the leading insiders when it comes to sports business. He was on ESPN for years and years and years, doing stories involving, for example, media rights deals, etc., etc. Think Sports Business Journal or some entity like that. He doesn't work for them, but that's his lane. Andrew Brandt is another one that's really good. But he's a sports business insider.
And that resume is the point. Darren Roll is not a burner account farming outrage. He built a career at ESPN and CNBC covering the money layer of sports, the media deals, the card market, the licensing agreements most fans never read. People in that world return his calls. So when a man whose entire brand is sports business paperwork says companies are being told no, it means actual firms with actual budgets were at the table with checkbooks open. Keep that framing, because this story was never about hurt feelings on a timeline. It's about signed rejections and revenue that was ready to move. But before we get to the rejection itself, you need to see how deep this gesture had already sunk into the culture, because that's what makes the decision so baffling.
Scott Agnes put out a story. Every camper gets a photo with Sophie Cunningham, and as you can expect, they all want to do the signature point. So let's look at it right here. Scott Agnes put this out.
You get 1 point from the ball. 1 point from the ball. If it's a common foul,
look at that. The young lady's black.
Look past the cute photo op, because what Scott Agnes is describing is the exact thing marketing executives chase their entire careers. Every camper, not some of them, every single kid lining up wants the point in their picture. Those children were not online for the drama last summer. They hold no grudge from a Mercury game. To them, it isn't a taunt at all. It's a celebration. The same way a whole generation hit the Jordan Shrug or Steph Curry's Night-Ite without knowing or caring where it came from. That is the precise moment a gesture stops being beef and becomes a brand. Companies burn tens of millions trying to manufacture an image that simple. Something a 9-year-old can throw up in a photo, and it almost never sticks. This one stuck by accident for free, and it was sitting right there waiting to be printed on anything with a price tag.
And of course, she pointed at DeWanna Bonner. Everybody remember that? That's what happened. She pointed at DeWanna Bonner. This thing went mega viral for 2 weeks. The White House posted it. She ended up as a UFC ring girl because of this moment.
And the origin story is pure basketball theater. A respected veteran splits with Indiana mid-season in about the messiest way possible. Resurfaces in Phoenix, and when the two sides finally share a floor, Cunningham caps a play by pointing directly at Dana Bonner. No shove, no shouting, just the finger. And the internet handled the rest for 2 straight weeks. As this breakdown tells it, even the White House social account jumped on the moment, and Sophie ended up inside a UFC octagon doing the point next to Max Holloway. Take the retelling with whatever grain of salt you want. The shape of it is undeniable. This moment escaped basketball completely. It reached people who could not name 3 teams in this league. And for a sport that has spent nearly 30 years begging for mainstream oxygen, that is the entire assignment, completed by one player in 1 second, completely unscripted.
By the way, again, she was the #1 women's trending athlete in the country last year on Google. On Google, the #1 was this lady right here, Sophie Cunningham.
Expansion cities reportedly paying in the neighborhood of $250 million each just for the right to exist. Record attendance and viewership numbers last season. Every one of those figures says the product is finally being valued, and organic viral moments are the fuel underneath all of it because they recruit fans that no ad budget can reach. You cannot spend 2 years arguing you're worth more, and then per this report personally veto the most bankable piece of intellectual property your own membership created. Those 2 positions cannot live in the same building. And one more distinction, the clip steamrolls because it matters. This reportedly came from the Players Association, not the...
So that takes us back to Darren Rovell. The WNBA Players Association is currently prohibiting licensees from using the Sophie Cunningham point, saying that it is, quote, derogatory. What? What? That is absurd.
He's pointing at year-end search data there, and reportedly that's accurate. The top trending female athlete in the country ahead of tennis stars, gymnasts, Olympians, all of them. Music, sit with that for a second because search interest is the most honest metric in sports. Nobody Googles you out of obligation. By the rawest measure of public curiosity, this league was holding the #1 card in all of women's athletics. So stack the board, a gesture kids replicate at camp. A moment the White House amplified a name the whole country typed into a search bar. Any functioning business takes that hand and prints money. Here's what reportedly happened instead, is telling licenses they cannot use the Sophie Cunningham point. And the stated reason is that word derogatory. Now slow down and understand what a licensee actually is because this is where it gets real. When a company wants a player's name, image, or signature moment on a shirt, a trading card, a poster, a bobblehead, that deal typically runs through the union's group licensing machinery. The union approves, the product ships, and money flows back to the players. So, if this report is accurate, this was not the league office playing it safe. And it was not some court ruling. It was the organization that exists for one purpose, maximizing what players earn, looking at the most in-demand piece of player IP this sport has produced in years and stamping no on it. And notice what the objection reportedly was not. Not bad timing, not contract terms, not let's negotiate a better rate. The objection was moral. The most recognizable image this league has generated in years was classified as an insult.
And if I was Sophie Cunningham, I would be kicking and screaming. What? I saw this and was like, oh, this league is ate up with the perpetually offended. The most viral moment of the year can't get licenses because you got players that were offended.
Now, I'm going to do what that clip didn't and actually make the union's case for a minute, because there is a version of this that is not insane. But first, notice what he just did. He assumed which players were offended and why. Nobody has published that. No names, no internal reasoning, nothing on the record. So, let's keep what's reported separate from what's guessed. Here's the honest Steelman. The point was aimed at one specific human being. Dana Bonner is a union member too, a two-time champion with more than 15 years in this league. And a players' association doesn't only represent its most marketable stars, it represents the veteran on the wrong end of the meme just as much. And when the moment first exploded, the reaction genuinely split. Plenty of people saw the best theater of the season. Others saw a young player mocking a veteran during the roughest stretch of her career. And parts of that discourse turned personal and ugly in ways nobody should defend. So the discomfort is not fabricated. But here is where the logic collapses. Because protecting a member's dignity and banning an entire licensing category are wildly different tools. Sports history is a museum of monetized disrespect. WNBPA Mutombo turned a finger wag that referees literally penalized into a beloved brand and national commercials. Allen Iverson stepping over Telu became one of the most reproduced images in basketball history. The NFL spent years finding touchdown celebrations, figured out fans love them, and now cuts them into content packages. The taunt is not a bug in sports marketing. Half the time, the taunt is the product. If the new standard is no gesture that ever offended an opponent, you can shut down most of the memorabilia industry by Friday.
I mean, wow. How does Dewana Bonner have this much power? She quit on the team. This person said, no, they aren't. That's a made-up story.
Two things in that clip, and one of them needs to be shut down fast. Blaming Dana Bonner personally for a union licensing decision is pure speculation. There is zero reporting that she requested anything, and a players' association call is a committee outcome, not one woman's veto. Pinning it on her by name is exactly how a business story mutates into a harassment campaign. So, we're not doing that here. The second thing is the fair question underneath it. Is this even real or did the internet invent it? Watch the answer he got. That's the receipt. A skeptic calls it fake to his face, and Rel doesn't blink. He says he personally spoke with a big company and saw their rejection. Break down what that one sentence contains. A company significant enough that a national insider takes the meeting, had money ready for point merchandise, went through the proper channel, and got refused in writing. That's not vibes. That's documented demand being turned away on paper. And who absorbs that refusal? Not just Sophie Cunningham. Group licensing money is typically pulled and shared across the whole membership, which means if this holds, the union said no to revenue that would have touched every single player's check, including whoever objected in the first place. Next.
Darren Ravel answered, yes, it's very real. Just spoke to someone with a big company who showed me their rejection. They got a rejection. They sent him a rejection memo is what happened.